In the quiet village of Aduko, life was a gentle, predictable rhythm. The day began with the first cocks, crow and women heading to market, their feet knowing the path by heart. Aduko wasn't rich, but it was peaceful, nestled between two rivers. The land was generous in the rains and dusty in the dry season. Life was simple. Everyone knew everyone. Then there was Kemi, a young widow with two small children, her eyes always carrying a shadow of weariness. Life just moved along like that, slow, familiar, and completely normal. But peace, as we know, doesn't always announce its departure. One dry season morning, everything changed. A woman appeared, just like that. No one saw her arrive. When asked, she said her name was Shade. She wasn't tall, but she carried herself with an unshakable presence. She spread her mat near the center of the market and began to arrange her tomatoes. And that's when people stopped in their tracks. Her tomatoes were magnificent. Tei Wedeyush, perfectly round, and a deep, impossible red. The kind of red you just don't see during the dry Harmattan season. Shade didn't need to shout or haggle. She simply arranged her tomatoes with deliberate care, her voice a low murmur, saying, "Fresh, clean, and healthy tomatoes." That was all it took. Before the midday sun, she had sold every single one. She returned the next market day, and the one after that. And soon, the old rhythms of Aduko began to shift. Mama Binta watched, her heart sinking, as her lifelong customers walked right past her stall, their eyes fixed on Shade. Kemi, her small business crumbling, cried to her neighbor one evening, whispering that no one came to her anymore. The murmurs about Shade grew louder, a wave of whispers and worried glances. When the gossip finally reached Shade herself, she looked up from her perfect tomatoes, her expression calm and unreadable. She said simply, "Your tomatoes are not fresh. They are not clean. They are not healthy. That is why people do not buy." Her words were blunt, but they didn't stop the flow of customers. If anything, people flocked to her even more. And then, something else started happening at Shade's stall, something unsettling. She started writing names. After each sale, she would ask gently, "What is your name? Where is your house?" She wrote down each answer on a small, folded piece of paper, her movements careful and precise. One day, a curious woman finally asked her, "Why are you writing down our names?" Shade looked up and offered a warm, disarming smile. "So I can remember my good customers," she said, her voice like honey. But as she folded another piece of paper and added it to her growing collection, a chill seemed to settle over the marketplace, a feeling that this was about more than just remembering customers. A new, unspoken question hung in the air. What was Shade really collecting? This is just the beginning of the story of Aduko and the mysterious Shade. If you want to find out what happens next, what secrets she holds, and what her list of names is truly for, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss the next chapter. Thanks for watching. This woman has used juju. Nobody's tomatoes looked like this. But the stew made from Shade's tomatoes was unlike any other. Then, a young man named Tundi died suddenly. 2 days later, an old woman was also gone. Fear entered the village softly, like smoke under a door. Loss followed loss, not always through death, but through the quiet destruction of people's hopes. The question moved through the village in hushed tones. Did they buy tomatoes from Shade? The answer was almost always yes. But Shade's tomatoes still gleamed, and people told themselves one more time it will not be me.